back to the movie. This is a continuation, part 2 of the Most High's judgment, God's judgment. The church keep giving people popcorn messages. This too shall pass. Have faith. Faith brings all this Christian doctrine is not in the scrolls. It's judgment time. The Most High is bringing judgment upon the earth, and he wants us to see that he's keeping his word, meaning get your house in order. Come back to my law, statutes, and commandments before it's too late. Because when I send my son and the angels, and you're still in Sunday church with Christmas trees and Easter egg bunnies, my son and the angels are not going to have any mercy. Y'all done gave people this sweet baby Jesus so long, y'all don't read about this Jesus coming with a sword dipped in blood. It's dipped in blood. Messiah that we're waiting on. So let's rehearse, bring people back up to speed. On your screen is a letter of Khazar, one of the first Khazar kings named King Joseph. Our ancestor, a true Israelite, was living in Spain. He heard about these Khazars, and he's writing to the Khazars saying, hey, are you my long lost brothers of the 10 tribes of Israel? The Khazar king writes back to the Israelite, to the Hebrew, and this is a copy of the letter right off Wikipedia. That's another thing. You want to scoff at us for reading all these documents, and you want to call these documents pseudo. You're calling these documents pseudo, non-canonical. But you praise the Bible, and one of the reasons you praise the Bible is they say, I'm coming from the seminary perspective, they say the Bible is valid because the Bible is one of the oldest documents in the world and it has yet to be refuted. And I can see that. It's the same thing about these letters we call them pseudo. If something is pseudo, it's easy to refute it. Why are these documents still around? And the same people that you run to their universities to get a degree from, they're upholding these documents. They got these documents in their universities. So if all these books we're reading from, the lost books, are pseudo, why can't you debunk it easily, Dr. Seminary? You see how you got to put the ball in their court? Don't let them put all the pressure on you. You ask them the question. If it's pseudo, prove it to me in 3 or 4 witnesses. They can't.
That triggers something in my mind. It's the same thing how they say you're a conspiracy theorist, a CIA made up term to basically get people to think that you're crazy. That's similar to probably what they do with the text, say it's pseudo when it's really valid or has validity to it. So I could see that same technique being used for lost writings.
If you want to say the Bible is valid because it's been around so long, it ain't been refuted, it's the same principle with these pseudepigraphic writings we're reading. They've been around and they've been examined by scholars that's your professors. You're going to these universities and these same teachers that you're sitting under, they done read these letters and they can't refute them. They can't tell you the exact origin of them, and they can't tell you how much is authentic, but they haven't been able to dismiss them 100%. So if the King James Bible is real because it's been around so long and hasn't been debunked, the same thing about these letters, family. They've been around forever and no one's debunked them yet. So let's drop down from, you asked us also in your epistle.
You ask us also in your letter, of what people, of what family, and of what tribe are you? Know that we are descended from Japheth through his son, Togarmah. In Jewish literature, Togarmah is the father of all Turks. I have found in the genealogical books of my ancestors that Togarmah had 10 sons. These are the names. The eldest was or you are. The second, Taurus. The third, Avar. The fourth, Uaz. The fifth, Bizal. The sixth, Tarna. The seventh, Kozar.
You drop down to the last,
I am a descendant of Khazar, the seventh son.
Here's this Khazarian king who's converted to, air quotes, Judaism. Not what we practice. The wicked Israelites have converted them to Judaism, which means they follow the oral law, they follow the Kabbalah. They don't follow what the Most High gave to Moses. But this Khazarian king is telling the truth. I come from Khazar. Now he says, our descendants come from Japheth. What did we read about Japheth in Ezekiel 39? What's going to happen to the islands of the Gentiles?
It's going to get burnt.
I'm going to send a fire. So here's this Khazar telling you I come from Japheth. Japheth and his sons populated the islands known as the islands of the Gentiles. Ezekiel 39, he says, I'm going to send a fire to the islands of the Gentiles. This ties into what's going on in Ukraine. The Ukrainians come from the Khazars. So everything you're seeing is Abba Yah keeping his word. Get your house in order. You don't have as much time as you think you have. You go ahead and celebrate Easter tomorrow, you drop dead tomorrow.
Mm.
You don't have as much time as you think you have, right? So people think that Russia is coming out of nowhere and attacking Ukraine, right? Y'all remember hearing me saying that the Most High has to be bored watching these reruns take place? Let's read some lost history here. Is that on your screen?
No, sir. That's just for you.
Okay. Let's read some lost history here with the people in the house. Lucky, y'all. I gotta get this off. It bothers me. So when you don't learn history in high school anymore, everything seems new to you. You sit in front of your dumb box and watch these news programs, because that's what it is, programming. I told y'all, I put it on Facebook, told my wife, the news is a program. They give you the weather, current events, some crime, and then they always end with a Good Samaritan segment. Someone rescued a puppy to leave you feeling good. I thought this was the news. The news is just report just the facts, man. Just the facts.
14-year-old boy saves cat from a tree.
So they want to leave you feeling good. You open up with kill all black people. Well, let's stop here. Even the news is programming. So if you don't get this history, you just think, they say Putin's a bad man, Putin's a tyrant. Let's read. This ain't new film. Let's read about the history here.
A crushing blow was The Jews of Khazar, page 136 by Kevin Allen Brooke. A crushing blow was dealt to the Khazarian Empire by whatever his name is, the Duke of Kiev, ruled in 962 through 972, the son of Prince Igor and his wife Olga. His life was one of war and conquest. The Russian Primary Chronicle recorded that as part of his childhood upbringing, he was tutored by Asmund and instructed in military tactics by the Valva, the military commander, Civadel. Medieval accounts describe him as a valiant and strong leader who undertook many campaigns. In addition to double-edged swords, his warriors were equipped with battle axes, short and long, knives, spears, iron arrows, and were protected by shields, hauberks, and iron and copper helmets. According to the Russian Primary Chronicle, he conquered and seized the Khazar city of Sarkul, including its prized fortress in 965. A messenger warned the Khazars of the impending invasion in advance, so the Khazar warriors assembled on the battlefield and prepared to fight. The Khazar Kagan joined his warriors during their losing battle against Svyatoslav.
What is this saying, family?
It says that basically Russia invaded the area that's known today as Ukraine, and they fought, and the Ukrainians lost.
That's what it's saying, family. I want y'all to read this so you know you're not getting indoctrinated. Because give you some back history, a couple classes ago, the Khazars popped on the world scene when they stopped the Muslims. Rome seen that they stopped the Muslims, like, whoa, did y'all see the Khazars just stop the Muslims? Because the Muslims had took Judea from the Romans, aka the Christians. So when the Roman Emperor Heraclius saw that the Khazars stopped the Muslims, the Roman Emperor Heraclius says, I need you. That's when Rome married the Khazars. Y'all remember that history? Rome married the Khazars because I need y'all muscle. So the Khazarians come on the world scene through Rome. So how y'all pop on the scene as this great empire and y'all stop the Muslims, y'all send the Muslims back down to Arabia. Y'all pop up on the world scene and disappear without a trace. Like, what happened to y'all? The Russians defeated them in the year 965. The Russians destroyed the Khazarian Empire. So what you're watching with Ukraine and Russia is a rerun. It's a repeat. Let's get some more.
The Kagan of Khazaria converted to Islam around 965 through 967 in exchange for the support of Khawarizm.
So that's why y'all see these light-skinned Muslims with the fine hair. They're not Muslims. Real Muslims look like us. These are the Khazarians converting to Islam and marrying dark people.
The Turks kind of
Turks.
They start mixing with all of those people. So now what we would see as a Muslim is most likely mixed with a Turk.
A Khazar.
Yeah.
A Khazar. That's why you talk to a real Muslim, they tell you like, yeah, they kicked us out. Our people been here and they're telling the truth. They are the black people are descendants of Ishmael, and these Turkish Khazarians came in and pushed them out. That's why y'all see how you over in Arabia all turban up. You ain't turban up because you're a Muslim. You can't take the sun. The real Muslim walk around like you and I with our shirts off. Assalamu alaikum. Because it's in our habitat. We're home. You gotta stay covered up because you'll get burned. Read on out.
Al-Muqaddasi wrote in 985 or 986 that he had heard of the Arabs of Gurwania attacking the Khazars and forcing the Khazar king to accept Islam. He also wrote that the Russians conquered the Khazars and seized their land.
He wrote what?
He also wrote that the Russians conquered the Khazars and seized their land.
He wrote what?
He wrote that the Russians conquered the Khazars and seized their land.
Lost history.
Grand Prince Vladimir of Kievan, Russia, ruled 980 through 1015. Notice how they call it Kievan,
I was
Russia.
thinking the same thing. Is it Kiev?
Well, Kiev is the capital of Ukraine.
It's the same place.
Kiev,
So
right?
Putin ain't invading.
He just taking back what was his.
I know that history. Putin knows their history. This is our land anyway. You United Nations come in playing big brother, telling people we're gonna chop this up and give it to you. And Putin's like, it's our land anyway.
That's why they're not going in bombs blazing, destroying all of the landmarks. They're trying to take it strategically. So they want the land. They don't, if they really want it, like he would have just dropped the bomb on everything.
It's over.
Yeah.
Family, let me calm down. Don't be fooled by these news reports. Ukraine is gaining ground. If Ukraine is gaining ground, why is the U.S. sending them pilots and jets and stuff?
And he said he asked him.
And you
pretty much, please send me more. We need more guns.
He's begging for help, but then you want to give me a news story they're gaining ground.
And I seen some news that intel that the only way they've held up this long is that secretly, of course, this is all speculation according to, because in wartime, that's what you get. But that's secretly the U.S. and some of the NATO countries have already really been fighting for them. Because it does kind of give credence that you see how he sent like 100 and some thousand troops to the border of Poland. You think they just all gonna just stay on the border of Poland versus like you don't know who's under the cover of the mask if you fighting and stuff at night. So that's why they're saying it's on the verge of turning into a world war because they're gonna have proof soon that
the United States and NATO already been intervening, helping try to push the agenda.
I just seen a headline today, this morning when I woke up, where Putin's telling the United States,
Stop aiding them. Yeah.
keep giving aid if you want to.
Mhm.
No one's scared of this country no more.
Right.
United States, you don't have the fear that you once had. This is prophecy. Now we get into what Gerald like to get into, Revelations.
Mhm.
And they forsake
I think the light is blinking.
her. Babylon's get forsaken of all her allies.
Might be a house shot.
So no, it's been doing that too. But- So we're seeing the Father get everything lined up for us. Those now you can't forget. I know we go over a lot. You can't forget we brought out you Khazarians are the ones who financed the slave trade. So don't show me all these babies crying. I'm looking at it very. You got pictures? I got pictures.
A lady, when we went on break, one of the ladies, they were talking about it because the news is always on in the break room. And then we all agreed that the news is trash, but she was like, yeah, she's a sweet lady, but it is what it is, right? So she was like, yeah, my church, we got somebody that's over there in Ukraine and he's been telling us, you know, what's going on. And she was like, yeah, it's real. It's worse than they even saying. She was like, women getting ravished and babies this. And that's when I'm looking at her like, I literally did not say a word. And then she just kept quiet. Cause like, I know to be wise, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And harmless, but in my head, I'm like, I don't care about those
They
people.
did it to you.
Yeah, like
Sister, they did that to your
no,
grandma.
this was a
stranger.
A stranger, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I was
That's
like,
why I don't bet. I watch it, you know. I don't bet. I know the history what y'all did to us.
yeah, I'm not blinking.
I know what y'all did to us. You cutting babies out of mothers' stomachs.
Inside, I'm like,
Somebody posted, and you know how we keep posting. Just as y'all come in, new people come in. I love it, and I see new memes or the memes recycled. But this brother got a TikTok. He's bringing out the history of a sister got lynched. He says, listen, they was lynching women and children. And he tells the story about a sister named Mary Turner. They lynched Mary Turner while she was pregnant. And they said she wasn't dying fast enough. So one of the angry mobsters went and stabbed her. After they set her on fire, she wasn't dying. He started stabbing her and then cut her stomach. The baby falls out of her stomach. And you think they picked the baby up and took the baby back to the family? They stumped the baby, crushed the baby's skull.
Savages.
So when you want to show me your little news images, I have no sympathy. This is my Father keeping his word to us. Those who had you in fear and subjection, I'm going to put the curse on them. So all of you who think we're too hard and too radical, you need to get alone by the lake somewhere, leave your pastor alone, and start reading these prophecies. And then get the history of what they did to your family right here in good old South America, North Carolina, Florida, South Carolina. We got a sister I love. She's passed on, Nina Simone. She got a song called Mississippi GD. She said, everyone knows about Alabama, how rough it is. Everyone knows about North Carolina. Everyone knows about Georgia, but Mississippi GD. How y'all doing, my people? That's Nina Simone.
And you know it's wild because like we still, I'm gonna use scared for just the lack of a better word, but you have to be aware. Like when I went to traveling through to go down south and went through like Alabama, like I'm not sticking around like these gas stations and stuff at night. Like I'm not, you know what I mean? Like I'm still quote unquote, like I have to be aware because I know those people are still out there. And brothers Zamaria and Antoine could attest to this, being an Amazon driver right here in North Carolina. You go to the sticks, they still racist. They still ready to pull guns on you. They ready. They want a reason to shoot you.
A couple years ago, me and Queen going out to see my mom, and we just chatting it up, trying to keep each other in company. Missed our exit. And so, hopefully it'll be a next one, you know, get you right back. Man, this exit took us in the backwoods of Georgia, and then both our cell phones started losing signals. I'm like, Father, please get us out of here. And all I'm seeing is swamplands look like where they hung our peoples at.
Yeah.
And every headlight that's approaching us, I'm like, Father, now I got my friends with me in the back seat, but I'm like, this is me and my wife here. And it's like,
Why we still see? That's how you know you're not free in your own land to worship the Most High. You know, because we still have to be. See, if you was at home, and this is hard to understand because we never experienced it. You literally would have no inclination, not one, no worries. Your
so
door,
I'm the son of Aaron, and I'm coming through. My horse is tired. You got some room for me and my wife? Shalom, come on in, brother.
your doors is
Mary, we got some folk out here. Mary comes out. She may have attitude because we're Israelites. But he said, oh, come on in, sis. Here's some hot tea. Ain't got to worry about, is it pork in here? We home. We see the power of Yah here because ain't no war, ain't no sickness. So we know the whole nation is being lawful. I can send my child up the street, go to so-and-so house and get some butter. I ain't got to worry if the butter had pork juice on it or bacon juice on it. At peace.
Abishai had a word.
Yeah, with all the things that you guys are talking about, and seeing how the sense of racism, how it still is and it's still alive, and how people still are. And I was just thinking, they still have enough nerve to call these different states the Bible Belt. Why are you throwing a Bible, something that's supposed to be good, holy, spiritual? Why you naming? Why you got to call these states Bible Belt? These are the worst states in the United States.
There's a clip a brother put in his song. I've been trying to find the movie, but he put it in one of his songs, and it's a clip from a movie I can't think of. She was like, it's a sister talking, and it's in slavery days. She said, why you don't preach about the Israelites going for freedom? Got those pages cut right out your Bible too. Said, you preach about the Israelites going for freedom, you find yourself hanging from a low tree. And the brother says, well, maybe all we're trying to do is get the people hope. It's like, you giving us redacted Bibles, and in your Bible, I can kill a man. In your Bible, I can steal a man. For our Bible says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. And he's like, well, y'all talking like y'all gonna put us in captivity. Well, if you read the scrolls, I was trying to find it, I couldn't find it. But Judah was prophesied to go into slavery because when Nehemiah and Ezra is getting the temple back together, the brother says, we mortgage our land. And Ezra says, this ain't right. You know you ain't supposed to charge your brother usury. Return your brother to his land and give him back their stuff. Our elder says, yes, we'll do it. But when Ezra leaves, they turn around and put the Hebrews, their own brothers, back in slavery. So Father said, I seen what y'all did. For doing this, y'all should go into captivity. So everything we're saying is biblical. Yes, we went into captivity because we put our own brothers into captivity. And now y'all put us into captivity. So now y'all going into captivity. It's just that we got to rule by Torah. We can't rape your women. We can't burn your children because we got Torah laws. So you should be thankful that you're going to be serving us. You won't be getting a hunt down and your head chopped off and your foot chopped off. Why I'm going to chop your foot off and your mom inside making my gravy? What kind of sense does that make? She just watched you chop her son's foot off and she's in the house with your food. How smart are you?
That strong face and that brainwash.
Come, because I know I see you do that. My son, yeah, I'm gonna make you a good pie master. Be just like the help.
Good rap was nothing there.
Let's finish this history up.
And Yasha said that was the New Roots where that clip comes from.
That was the New Roots?
New Roots, yeah.
New Roots? Is it?
That's
I
what
didn't know that about the New
I didn't know they made a
Where
New
you got
Roots.
anyway?
Oh, you say he's gonna be online then. I didn't know they made a New Roots.
You're probably in Jerusalem.
Yeah, I know, right? You got some nerve being online.
You're probably in the land of God or
Yeah.
something over there.
That's what we gonna eat
New
today.
Roots. Try to send me that link, Yasha.
And he says, so the Grand Prince Vladimir of Kiev in Russia,
Y'all notice something about Vladimir
Putin,
and
Kiev,
who else named Vladimir?
Zelensky.
Y'all the same people. Y'all the same people. You the the same people.
Yeah,
Just don't-
Vladimir Klitschko is the boxer, the heavyweight, the old heavyweight champion. That's just, they all the same people.
They're all the same people.
Yeah, they all the same people. They all the same people. They just use whichever nationality at the time that favors whatever agenda they're trying
They
to
want to push.
So I'm Ukrainian today. I'm Israeli because I'm trying to go back to Israel. Like it's wow. So he gained control over part of the former Khazar territory, including Sam Karsh, renamed to Motorakan, and the famous vineyards and gardens of Samander were burned, while most of the Khazars under Khwarezmian control became Muslims. There were some Khazars who resisted conversion. The soldiers occupied the cities of the Khazars who refused to convert to Islam. With the stunning defeat of the primary Khazar cities, Sarkal and Atil, control of the Don trade route passed to the East Slavs, while control of the prestigious Volga-Caspian trade route, the Caspian Sea, effectively transferred to the Bulgarians. In the period following Silvaslav's conquest of Russia, extensively colonized the Don and the Donetsk valleys. That seemed like Donbass that they fighting over now. Land was not all that the Slavs inherited from the Khazars. Julius Brutus proposed that ancient Russia was indebted to the Khazar way of life.
So the Russians started copying off the Khazars. That's how they became mixing and matching with Catholicism, and now y'all got Jews in Russia. Y'all the same people. So I don't have nothing to do with y'all little civil war. I'm paying attention to prophecy because this is a warning for me. What it say? If you stay ready, you ain't gotta get ready. Family, we're living day by day now. You can go to work. Don't get so being a super employee that you don't hear that voice saying it's time to leave. Because if you don't, and that voice saying go on break and don't come back. When Father sends that destruction, here you, I'm American. I gotta get that bag. You're gonna get a bag, all right.
Body bag.
That's how we know.
So Kievan, Russia was the first organized state on Russian territory.
Say what?
It was the first organized state of Russian territory. And remember,
Putin just taking his land back. Don't we got a prophecy that says every nation shall return to their borders? Can somebody get that for us? So people know we're not making stuff up. This is prophecy unfolding. The Most High is knocking at your door. You Christians about to miss this. You in church backflipping over pews, foaming at the mouth, having Easter egg hunts. You're about to miss the Messiah. I forget where it is.
it's either Jeremiah 50 or 51.
I think two of the prophets say it. I think Micah has one too. Every man shall return to their borders. I'm gonna check Micah. Somebody, y'all check your prophet.
You got Isaiah 13:14.
What you got?
Isaiah 13:14.
Go ahead. Let me bring it out.
It says, and it shall be as the chase roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up, that they shall every man turn to his own people and flee every one to his own land.
Read that again, chapter and verse.
Isaiah 13, verse 14. And it shall be as the chased roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people and flee every one into his own land.
This is prophecy unfolding, family, and I think two more of the prophets say the same thing. There's no coincidence you're reading about or seeing right now. But if you're not with a body, an assembly that's digging in these scrolls, digging in these prophets, because we live by prophecy, you're going to be destroyed with the nations. It wasn't meant for you. You ever got hit by the belt and it wasn't meant for you? It still stung though, didn't it?
Jeremiah 50 and 16.
Bring it out.
Cut off the sword from Babylon, and let him that handleth the sickle in the time of harvest. For fear of the oppressing sword, they shall turn every one to his people, and they shall flee every one to his own land.
So those two witnesses, that's all we need. Two witnesses telling you that the Most High is going to return everybody back to their own borders. And he's getting our land ready for us. This Ukraine Putin thing is not a coincidence. Putin ain't no bad man. He's under the hand of our Father. So that's all we need. We just want to bring this out to prove that Ukraine was Russia territory. Putin is taking back what belongs to Russia. He's in line with prophecy. He's reclaiming his border. Any comments or questions before we move on? So let's bring this back out.
Give me an analogy. He said, look, imagine you left your home and then someone came and occupied it, and then you try to get it back, and then they went to the judge. Have you heard some of these?
So the interviewer is saying that's what the Khazars are saying. The Israelis people are telling the Palestinians this parable. It's like you went on a trip and you come back and someone is occupying your home. That's what the interviewer is saying. Some of the Israeli fish people are saying. He's giving a parable, right? They went past it.
Give me an analogy. He said, look, imagine you left your home and then someone came and occupied it, and then you try to get it back, and then they went to the judge. Have you heard some of these analogies? Maybe you can.
Yeah, that's assuming that, that's taking it into a place which I don't usually go. That's making the assumption that today's Jews are really the descendants of the ancient Hebrews that used to live in that part of the world some 3,000 years ago. That's a bit of a stretch for me. And even if it was true, I don't think it. I agree with him. It doesn't justify. I did not live there 3,000 years ago. My grandparents immigrated from Ukraine.
He's the grandson of the first generation of 1948. His dad and grandpa came into the land. Now he was a Israeli general, all that stuff. He's over in New York now. He done wrote a book. The fish people want to kill him too. So he's over here in the States. I started to buy his book. I just couldn't do it. But he wrote a book and he's telling people, I don't really think we the Hebrews.
You might as well buy the book, because if we buy Tim's, they own the Tim's. So.
I may go by and get it. I may get his book. So
How much parents, their grandparents didn't live there, and I don't know any Jew that can trace his or her ancestors back to the ancient Hebrews. So that's a lot of that's a lot of myth there.
if their own people are saying that we're not the Hebrews, we immigrated here. Where are the real Hebrews at?
Yeah. Huh?
You Protestants, you Unberean, and all you seminary people, their people are telling you we're not the Israelites. So you Christians, y'all are dead set. Y'all know for sure that it's not us Negroes. But you can't tell me where they at then. You know I'm not an Israelite. Yeah, no, you're a nigga. I know you're a nigga. They're telling you they're not Israelites. But we got documents after documents that we didn't write, the Europeans wrote. We put Judah on slave ships. We kicked Judah out of Portugal. We kicked Judah out of Spain. And it just so happened, about the same time y'all kicked us out of Portugal and Spain, Columbus got a ship going to the Americas. And we are the sons of David and Solomon who navigated the earth first.
Needed some help, huh?
Columbus is reading, Columbus Italian, Columbus an Italian, Columbus a Roman, just became Christian. He's reading Second Ezra, how the lost tribes went across the sea, and now he needs some Jews to translate Hebrew in case I find the Israelites. But all this is just myth and conjecture. You can't refute this, but you want to have marathons on your YouTube channel that we're just making up a skin doctrine. To me, you sound like an agent. You should stay far away from me in the physical, because the spirit in me just may jump on the spirit in you. This is not a game for me. You having marathons, just let anybody come on your platform with cockamamie declarations, but you can't disprove this history.
And it's funny, Miss Gina's lineage go back to Spain area.
Lisbon came up on her tree. How she come from Lisbon, Portugal? Her dad black as me. That's why you can't put people, oh no, he's not a Portuguese, he's not Spanish. You can't identify us by where we've been. Lisbon is where the Jews were at. At first, we were the ruling class, but then when we didn't accept Christianity, we became the slaves. Pay me my money by this date, or I'm taking your children and I'm going to make them Christians.
Godfather and Godmother.
So when you don't know this history, oh, it's just a coincidence that you come from Europeans. No, we don't. No, we come from black Jews who were over there. That's the way they're trying to cap us up with now. Yeah, you got European in you. Well, Mr. Scholar wannabe, the original Europeans are black people. Have you ever heard of Cheddar Man? Your own scientist that you're big up in says it's evident that the original Europeans look like Cheddar Man. We brought Cheddar Man out in a class 2 years ago, finding Uncle Esau. Cheddar Man, they say, blue eyes, slow down, blue eyes, dark skin, prognated nose. And don't let hair texture fool you. They would say, oh yeah, all our hair is like wool. Some of us had silky hair, family.
I know somebody, Naraya, you know, Felix. Felix got silky hair. I was like, I'd never seen that before. And he from Ghana.
You see the movie with Tom Hanks? When the pirates take the ships, I'm captain now. He says, I'm captain now. Y'all remember that movie? What was the movie was that? We went to go see that. He says, I'm captain now. The brother was dark as me. And he took Tom Hanks' ship. And he was a Somalian. Very dark. When you see his hair, looks like he got that S-curl Duke for Men in his hair.
That's Felix.
So don't let them fool you that we all had tightly coiled hair. Our hair come in many different textures. So we got receipts letting you know we are the true Jews. We were all over the world as the curse said we would. At first, we were ruling in Europe, but then the Father says, oh, y'all think y'all got away from my curse? Now I'm gonna flip the switch on y'all. Now Portugal and Spain and Rome convert the Catholicism, convert the Christianity, convert the Protestantism, convert to being a Baptist, convert to being a Pentecostal, or I'm gonna kill you and I'm gonna adopt your son as my godson. This is what you're following with Easter egg hunts and Christmas trees. We got receipts. Now, y'all sitting down for this? Let's see if this is gonna work. Let's see if this is gonna work. This is right on Wikipedia, right? Let's see if this works. Can y'all read that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna bring it back. I just want y'all to get the true context of this. Oh, we're gonna make some devils mad today. Y'all better get ready for fasting and praying, because y'all may be attacked tomorrow, Monday. We're gonna make some demons mad today. So let's bring this back. What you're reading, this is right on Wikipedia. And this is a table. Conflicts considered as wars by the Israelis' Minister of Defense. Conflict. The War of Independence in 1947 to 1949. They took the land in 1948. So they got a war coming into the land. They got a war in 1956. Y'all see where I'm going with this?
Yes, sir.
They got a war in 1967. They got a war in 67 through 70. 73. '78, 82 to 85, 85 to 2000, 87 to 93, 2000 to 2005, they're warring. 2006, they're warring. Operation Cast Lead, 2008 to 2009, they're warring. 2012, they're warring. 2014, they're warring. 2021 to currently, Palestine and Iran is ready to mop y'all up.
Mhm.
You've been warring since you got in the land since 1948.
Precept.
Stop. We didn't rehearse this. We don't rehearse these classes. The colonizers have been warring since 1948. How many years is that? None of us are 75 years old in here. Y'all been at war since y'all got into the land. You never had peace. You never had peace since you got in the land. Mr. Kazar, Mr. Fish, something ain't right. Now, before we go on, what precept did you have?
Micah 4.
Bring out Micah 4. Because we got some prophecy that says when the Jews get back into the land, there's supposed to be some things happening. When the real people get back into that land, we're supposed to see some fruit.
All I can hear in my head is Adam Sandler, and we supposed to be the chosen.
They put it in our face in their movies. Adam Sandler joking about it. And we're supposed to be the chosen. Y'all seen that movie?
You talking about Jews?
Black diamond or black Jews or something?
I ain't watching.
We supposed to be the chosen people.
We're supposed to be the chosen. These ain't just like, they put it right in our face. Bring yours out. Michael, where we going out?
I'm gonna start. I'm gonna just read 1 through 4. 1 through 3.
What chapter?
4. Micah 4. But in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the house of Yahweh shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills of the nations, and people shall flow unto it. And many nations shall come and say, come, let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh and go to the house of the Elohim of Jacob or Yahweh, and he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the Torah instructions shall go forth from of Zion.
Are they living by the laws in Jerusalem right now?
Because they got the gay pride and all that.
You selling catfish and shrimp over there?
They got pork over there.
So when the real people get back, everybody, the nations who are around wants to come to Zion because it's holiness now. The real Jews are back teaching us the law. Something ain't right. We don't out.
And the word from Yahweh from Yerushalayim. And he shall judge among many people and rebuke strong nations afar off, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore.
What you say, Al?
Neither shall they learn war anymore.
You mean like AKs? And you mean like missiles?
Nation shall not lift up a sword against a nation, neither shall they learn war anymore.
We have turned our pistols into farming tools because the Most High has returned the real Jews, the real Israelites are back in the land, and now the Father is back fighting for us. So you don't need that AK, you don't need that M4, you don't need none of AR-15s. Turn that into a shovel because the Most High is back with the real Israelites, and no one's coming in this land anymore. Mr. Fish, Iran is mopping y'all up day by day. Y'all just not reporting on it. Iran got y'all shook. If it wasn't for the United States, y'all would have been done. Mr. Fishman, something's kind of fishy. Something's kind of fishy. That's one witness. We live by the plumb line. Micah 4 is one witness that somebody's not matching the prophecies being returned to the land. Let's go to Isaiah 14, When the real Jews, the real Israelites get back, the real Hebrews get back, we're supposed to see some fruit that the real people of the Most High is back in the land. Isaiah 14, Shemai.
Shema.
Every week we in here pray for people. Isaiah 14:1, read.
For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Yasharallah and set them in their own land. And the strangers and the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place. For the house of Yasharallah shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids.
So the people, according to the Most High's prophecy, let's break this down because we got Christians listening all the time. We got new people all the time. We get so excited, our zeal kind of goes over people's heads. But according to the Father, when he brings his people back into the land, they're coming back with the people who held them captive. We just brought out history that the real Jews were put on slave ships by Khazars. So when you fish people took the land in 1948, y'all didn't bring back the people who had y'all captives. Y'all claimed Germany had y'all held hostage. Y'all didn't bring no Germans in here to serve y'all. Mr. Khazar, something ain't adding up.
Yes, sir.
The real people are not back in that land, family. Did you finish that up?
And they shall take them captives whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in the day that Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy sorrow.
Like what's sorrow? Like being lynched, being burnt, being have to work 40 hours just to pay a light bill. Is that sorrow?
Or 50 hours.
You trying to be fruitful and multiply, and you got a $100,000 doctor bill. You can't even have children without a burden over here. Does that sound like sorrow?
Yes, sir.
What else we're gonna have rest from,
From thy fear, going to Alabama at night. We just talked about
scared to death riding through these. So, Mr. Khazar, you are over in that land, and you're saying you're the people of God, but you're scared of Iran. You're begging the United States to renew your friendship with Israel, the people of God. Why do you need the United States to be your friend if God is your God? Why do you need the United States and all our billions of dollars, or all their billions of dollars? Because I'm not American. If you're the people of God, Mr. Khazar, why do you need the United States to be your ally? I thought God defends you. So family, those online, those Christians may not be hearing this for the first time. We're pointing out that these fish people, these Khazarians, these Israelis, they can't be the people of prophecy because they're still in fear to this day. Let's drop down to verse 7 to get some more context.
The whole earth is at rest.
Say what?
The whole earth is at rest.
So not only will there be peace in the land of Jerusalem, the whole entire earth is going to be at rest. Are they warring in Japan right now? They don't talk about it, but Japan is going through civil unrest. Japan wants China. They're fighting on every front. Is war going on? Is it the European nation, European League? Are they at peace? So it says when the real people of the Bible, when the real Israelites, when the black Hebrews get back into the land, the whole earth is going to be at peace.
Shabbat.
Shabbat. Read on.
And is quiet. they break forth into singing. Who be singing?
Ain't no singing over there. Y'all got guards at the gates. Y'all checking passports. You got Unabomers blowing y'all up. Ain't no singing y'all doing over there. We're gonna read on.
Verse 8.
Oh no, that's all we needed. So that's two witnesses. We started with Micah 4. That's Isaiah 14. Y'all don't fit the prophecy of the nation of Israel being restored. When the real Israelites be restored, the land's going to be at peace. There's no more soldiers guarding the gates. Second witness, or third witness. Let's go to our third witness, Ezekiel 34. Ezekiel 34. We got to pull out all this scholarship because no one wants to believe. You want to sit there and listen to pastor give you a bunch of fluffy messages, but you're going to be saved in the by and by, but you ain't doing nothing required for salvation. But we too hard, we too loud, we too aggressive. That crackling of that fire gonna be loud on your skin too. You're gonna be able to turn that fire down. Ezekiel 34:28. Shema, read.
And they shall no more be a prey to the heathen, neither shall the beast of the land devour them, but they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid.
Iran should make them afraid.
None shall make them afraid.
Russia should make them afraid.
And none shall make them afraid.
How about Syria?
And none shall make them afraid.
To my family, friends, Christians, we're showing you world history is lining up with prophecy. Those people that the United States been giving money to, those people on your TV screen, they're not the real people of that land. It's supposed to be peace in that land. It's supposed to be peace in that land. The real people who belong in that land are the so-called Blacks, Spanish, we call Native Americans. They're really Israelites. We are the real people who belong in that land. You won't see no peace until we get back in that land. Any questions, comments about that before we move on? And Abishai texted me that movie. It was Captain Phillips. That's the movie. Where the Somalians hijacked the
Mr.
ship.
Precept over there.
Yeah, Abishai.
A lot of
The water rebar for that. The water rebar for that.
Mr. Precept ain't on it today.
Mr. Precept over there probably with some biscuits in his mouth.
Yeah.
So
Honey butter biscuits.
we're running down prophecy when the real Israelites, when the real Hebrews get back into the land, they're going to be dwelling safely. They're going to be at peace. They don't need any soldiers. And not only is Jerusalem going to be at rest, the Most High says the whole earth is at rest. So the real people are not back in the land. Our fourth witness, Zechariah 14:11. Zechariah 14:11. Shema. Read.
And men shall dwell in it, and there shall be no more utter destruction. But Yerushalayim, Jerusalem, shall be safely inhabited.
Say what?
But Jerusalem shall be safely inhabited.
How many prophets did we just read? We started with Micah chapter 4. Then we went to Isaiah 14. Then we just went through to Ezekiel 34. Now the fourth prophet who's speaking for the Father says when the Israelites, when the Hebrews get back into that land, they're going to be dwelling safely. No more need to be training soldiers, scaling over walls, low crawling through the grass. No more need for Kevlar helmets, bulletproof vests. Our children are walking around having fun. Y'all children over there playing on landmines. So we're telling our Christian family and friends with love, wake up, come out of that Christian whorehouse church, return to these prophecies, and you can see the Most High is bringing these prophecies to light for your benefit, not for your destruction, not for you to send money over to Ukraine, host a Ukrainian. No, he's giving you these warnings. I'm keeping my word to you. I'm going to put fear on all the nations who had you in fear and derision. You're so scared, you're running into a Ku Klux Klan man because he ain't got his sheet on. So now you're staying in his house, and now when it gets dark, he's coming to rape you and burn you. Now these nations are in division. These are warning signs for you to come back to his covenant. Any questions or comments before we go into continue with the movie? So family, we gave you all that history to show you how the Most High's prophecy lines up to the T. But Yah doesn't give you a roundabout prophecy. Somebody in here needs a blessing. Someone in here is going through financial troubles. Someone in here, the Most High doesn't give no generic prophecy like that. The Most High's word is right and exact.
It's in that bowl, just in case you stuck in the
Yeah,
microwave.
no, I seen it.
Okay.
So we're going to continue with, this is a documentary we started last week, and this is right off YouTube. So we're going to claim fair use. We will stop it at different segments just to highlight and to give you clarity on nothing we're seeing right now, nothing we're witnessing is coincidence. All this is Abba's prophecy, and this is his love for you. That's what blows my mind. The Father is showing his love for you, but Pastor up there just moaning and groaning, looking for sweet Jesus.
We got that one where he get down on his knees, please pray for Ukraine. And I'm like, bruh, lost.
My goodness. Let's bring this back. I'm going to catch it up to speed.
The land of Israel.
So we started with this last week. Let's get up to the 18-minute mark.
By the Arab League because they want to keep Palestinians as refugees forever. So a Palestinian could be born and live and die in Egypt or Syria and never get the Egyptian nationality or the Syrian nationality.
I wouldn't say it was a cultural thing, and I just don't think so. I think it really was a political issue, and I think that they were a convenient tool. It's a whip with which to beat Israel, and they continue to be that.
This proves that the Arab world doesn't want to solve the refugee problem, because if the refugee problem is solved, there is no problem.
6 days of war.
You'll always hear the international community, especially United Nations people, the Secretary General of the United Nations, whoever he is at the time, will always repeat a certain sentence, which is, Israel must withdraw to the lines of June 4th, 1967. And you've heard that a million times, I'm sure. And what's so important about June 4th, 1967? That's where the borders were the night before, on June 5th, the morning of June 5th, 1967. Israel struck first, started a 6-day war that changed all the borders around Israel.
Oh, hear that? In 1967, one night the borders was one way. After that night, the Israelis changed all the borders. Mr. Precepts, are you still in the chat?
That's Joel 3 or 2.
What did it say?
They parted my land.
Not that part. That's good. That is good. Let's bring that one out too. The one I'm looking for, I was thinking of, do not remove the ancient landmarks. Y'all heard that precept?
That's been a while.
Maybe yeah, I look it up. How y'all the people and y'all know Torah and you come pushing lines back?
So
that's in Proverbs 23.
Bring it out.
Proverbs 22:28.
Tom, bring it out, Lamar, y'all. They're not doing anything the people of the book is supposed to be doing. The Father gives the Israelites specific instructions Y'all not following none of them. Proverbs 22 and verse 28.
Yeah, I got 23 and 10.
Bring it out.
Remove not the old landmark and enter not into the fields of the fathers.
The father, now we know Proverbs was written by Solomon, but Solomon was getting it from Abba. Abba's saying, don't remove the ancient landmarks. What you got, Abishai?
Proverbs 22:28, remove not the ancient landmarks which thy fathers have set.
He said it twice, like the back-to-back chapter.
It makes the first instance is in Deuteronomy, actually. Deuteronomy 19.
So y'all ain't doing nothing the father's saying doing. In 1967, y'all come and going back to war. Now in 48, y'all was warring to take the land for the Palestinians. Now in 67, y'all warring again, and that's when you changing the landmarks.
Because we wouldn't change the landmark if Yatzazak or Abraham said, I placed the altar here because this day the Most High provided X, Y, and Z. We wouldn't change that.
You know we ain't changing the landmarks.
Yeah.
We ain't gonna disrespect our fathers like that. These people are imposters.
We struck first under the international law where the aggressor, which means any territories we took, are occupied territories.
The Six-Day War is a defining moment in the conflict. The Arab world was growing increasingly impatient with the Jewish presence in what was supposed to be Arab Islamic land. Hate-filled rhetoric filled the airwaves of the Middle East, even during the 1950s and 60s. During this time, no voice was louder than that of Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser.
They killed him.
In 1967, the president of Egypt at the time, President Nasser, decided to close the Straits of Tiran, which is an international waterway. A waterway that is a lifeblood for Israel, bringing valuable supplies, food, etc., and he closed it to one nation only, ships bearing the Israeli flag and ships bringing in goods to Israel. This is illegal under international law and is a casus belli, a cause.
Now, they ain't gonna say it in this clip because I don't know who produced this clip. I don't know who the tapes are, but let me bring Nasser back. They killed him. This is the Egyptian president. They killed him, and he has a speech, and he was on. This is in the 60s. I forgot the show it is. I believe it's still on YouTube. Y'all gotta go out there and get it because they're scrubbing things as we talk. As the Most High keeps waking us up, they're going back pulling things off the internet. But he was on I want to say Walter Cronkite, but I can't remember. But it's a black and white TV show. Let you know how far back it goes. He's being interviewed by this American talk show host. And the talk show host is asking him questions. And he gets to, do you think you can ever have peace in the Middle East? And Nasser, this Egyptian president, who's probably closer to us than those Khazars, he says, we can never have peace with the Israelis because the Jews left here black and came back white. So the powers that be want to tell you that that's a myth. He never said that because they can scrub the sites. They can scrub all this stuff. But this man is telling them, if they were the real Jews, we would negotiate with them because we can read we got y'all monuments. We know your fathers wrote this. So if the real black Jews were here, we would settle with them and let them come back into y'all gotta get this. This man saying, we can't have peace with you imposters. Y'all don't belong here. So now you got these fish people crying, the Palestinians don't want peace because we gave them a little Gaza Strip. The Palestinians like, you want me to concede to this strip? Y'all are colonizers. That's like somebody coming in your house and I'm going to take the master bedroom and you can take the cot. Wait a minute here. I'm showing you hospitality. I think I'm going to keep my master bedroom. You see, when you put it in this context, you people sound crazy. Insane. Can you imagine? Hey, Sister Jen, can you give me a ride to the store? Oh, sure. She hit the locks. And then this woman hopped in the driver's seat. Wait Wait a minute. Oh, we got these stations programmed. I don't like this music. I know it's not your car. This is what these Palestinians is doing. These Israelis saying, you Palestinians just mean people and y'all don't want peace. These Arabs are saying, we don't want peace with y'all because y'all don't belong here. Bring the real Jews back here and we will listen to them.
And Nariah got his hand up real quick.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, this gives me passion because we don't belong here, family. We have no ties, your house, your car, your child. We're just pilgrims. Any day now, our number could be called.
One thing I noticed in a short period of time that they're playing this video, the rules of engagement that they're abiding by, they keep saying the international law permitted us to do that, permitted us to do this. And, you know, I whenever I hear that word international, the Most High told us not to intermingle ourselves with the other nations and with the heathen and their ways. So what law? They're not even following the law based off the supposed God that they serve. Or am I off about that? Am I misunderstanding something?
100% right.
Huh?
Because the Rothschilds put them over there. So that's why they're abiding by international rules.
What did our ancestors? No, Nariah, you're 100% in line with our history. Because what did our ancestors tell Sanballat and those not Assyrians, those Syrians, when we were rebuilding the wall in Nehemiah and Ezra? They said, we want to help you.
Oh, no.
What did Ezra tell them? You don't have no hand with rebuilding this wall. We don't need your help.
I was going to say, paraphrasing, they were saying, we good. We don't need your help.
Our elders rebuilt the temple with a sword in their hand and a tool in a sword on their side and working rebuilding the wall. They said, when we blow this trumpet, that means they're coming to attack us. But our ancestors told them, we don't need your Gentile hands to rebuild it. So if y'all really the people, why y'all need international allies? Mm-hmm. Your God's supposed to give you the land back. Mm-hmm. That's what we need the Christians to see. Mm-hmm. Read a book other than your pastor's sermon notes. Mm-hmm. The Father's showing you, he's bringing out history. These people don't fit. These people have afflicted you. I got a promise in these scrolls that everybody afflicted you, I'm going to put this on them. Not only that, when the writer says international laws, Psalms 81:3. Psalms 81:3.
The nations are confederate.
The nations are confederate against us. The nations are confederate. They don't care who's in that land as long as it ain't you and I. Mm-hmm. They'll put some Australians in there with an Australian accent and tell the world these are the real Jews. Mm-hmm. They'll go spend technology to fabricate some so-called ancient bricks. Look, these are the real Hebrews right here. It's been these Australians the whole time. That's how wicked these people are. They are confederate against us. Now our own people, Christians, Protestants, having 12-hour YouTube marathons. Well, I don't believe those people are the people, but I don't think it's you niggas either. Mm-hmm. It's like, you're talking about your own self. Right. You're a part of these people. The whole head is sick, family. Fair use.
In 1967, the president of Egypt at the time, President Nasser, decided to close the Straits of Tiran, which is an international waterway. A waterway that is a lifeblood for Israel, bringing valuable supplies, food, etc. And he closed it to one nation only, ships bearing the Israeli flag and ships bringing in goods to Israel. This is illegal under international law and is a casus belli, a cause for war. Israel was perfectly within its rights when it chose to respond and to reopen those straits by force.
The Egyptian president, Gamal Abdel Nasser, is at the time basically considered the leader of the Arab world. And he's very outspoken, very brazen in his speeches, and he gets the people wild with excitement. And he basically insinuates his intentions towards the state of Israel. And then he starts putting military forces into the Sinai Desert, which he's not supposed to do. It's a demilitarized zone. There's a United Nations peacekeeping force that's there to make sure he doesn't put forces into the Sinai Desert, and he still puts them in. And then he informs the United Nations peacekeeping force that they need to leave.
Nasser kicked the United Nations Emergency Forces, the UN peacekeeping troops who were placed in Sinai to prevent any sort of conflict out of the Sinai, and he started massing his own troops within Sinai. Israel was on the defensive. At any time, masses of Egyptian troops could pour over the border and overrun the state of Israel.
Things looked very bad. Tensions were high. The joke in Israel at the time was, guys, the last one out of here, make sure you switch out the lights. They really didn't think that they'd make it. Our intelligence at the time was pretty good, and we find out that there's several hundred aircrafts of several Arab air forces, Jordanian, Syrian, Egyptian, Iraqi, in several airstrips in those respective countries, and that they're basically planning an attack against Israel.
We had little choice but to take preemptive steps. Israel decided that it had no choice but to do so. We launched a raid against Egyptian airfields, and we were very successful in wiping out the whole of the Egyptian Air Force within a number of hours.
In one massive preemptive raid, Israel destroyed the Arab air forces under the command of Egypt, giving Israel...
This just came to me, and Most High just dropped this to me. Egypt is giving them resistance, don't want them to take the land, right? Who kept us alive during those years of famine?
The Egyptians.
You see the father in this? The father's the nation, because you and I, we don't know how to fight. Not on this level. Just like coming out of Egypt, he had to have the nations, the angels destroyed the nations. We just came in and mopped them up. So Egypt kept us alive. We was raised in Goshen. Now these Egyptians, like, y'all can't take the land. This land belonged to the real Jews.
Real air superiority. However, Egypt was not the only one planning on attacking the Jewish nation. Syria and Jordan were also working with Egypt and had been preparing to invade as well.
Israel had gone to great pains to make clear to the Jordanians that we have no intentions of fighting them. Remember, the Jordanians are in control of what we call today Judea, Samaria, the Jordan Valley, and East Jerusalem, including the old city of Jerusalem, which is obviously very important to the Israelis and the Jews worldwide, because that's where the Temple Mount is, that's where the Western Wall is. And Israel had sent message after message to the Jordanians, don't fight. We're not interested in fighting with you.
It's a matter of clear, established historical fact that Israel, in the first days of the war with Egypt, sent a message to Jordan saying, we don't want war with you. We are not attacking you. We have a concern with Egypt that's closed off the Straits of Tiran. We have to deal with that. But if you don't attack us, we are not going to attack you. And the Jordanians...
Why y'all don't have peace?
When the war started, it was the Jordanian Legion that attacked Israel, also attacked West Jerusalem. And during the defensive actions of the Israeli army, at a certain time, there was an understanding that if we need to fight to defeat the Jordanian troops, we have to take over the old city of Jerusalem.
With Egypt in the south, Jordan in the east, and Syria in the north, Israel was fighting on three fronts. This was the plan of the Arab nations, in which they expected to wipe out Israel in a matter of hours.
You mean to tell me, look at all the enemies around that little cut-up place of Israel. That's not really our land. Our land is huge, fam. That little yellow strip right there, that's what the United States and France and Britain winds up cutting up. But
that Syria and Jordan is Israel too.
That's all our land.
Yeah.
When you read Abraham's covenant, he says, look, as far as north you can see, far as east and west, that's all, not all Israel, because remember, Abraham got other boys, but our cousins and us, all that's ours. Now, the point I want to bring out, you mean to tell me, you colonizers, y'all only been, this is 1967, y'all only been there since 48. You mean to tell me y'all done became that skilled and that familiar with the terrain to beat all those nations? Y'all had to have the help of the United States and other secret partners. Because who runs the United States?
The Jesuits,
the
Rothschilds.
The Rothschilds. They've been had the presidents. They just didn't get into office these last. They've been running the president. I think the first one they killed JFK because he didn't want to play ball with them. So I think the first one that was a Khazar is FDR or Roosevelt. These Khazars have owned the United States since FDR or Roosevelt. That's the history they don't tell you.
Yet in 6 days, Israel managed to not only defeat the Arab nations, but also gain valuable and strategic territory. From Egypt, the Sinai Desert. From Syria, the Golan Heights, from which Syria had launched countless attacks on Jewish fishermen and farmers for 19 years. And from Jordan, the West Bank, and Jerusalem. This would be the first time Israel would have access to the most holy sites for Jews, the Western Wall.
So it was basically a military action. But what it brought,
that's another thing. Of course, they don't believe in the Messiah. What did Messiah say when they showed him the temple? You know, I remember when they was bragging about the temple. Look at the temple. Wow. And he was talking about his temple. What did he say about that physical temple? Y'all remember? Not a stone should be left. And they looked at him like, I think he is a little. So what is that Western Wall then? Either that wasn't the Messiah, or what are you? That's Herod's temple.
Yes, dark.
And no Nazarite went into Herod's temple because he built that temple to appease him, killing all the babies. So the real Israelites who believe in Messiah, we never went to that temple. So you got people ignorant going to the Western Wall, talking about paying homage to my ancestors. Your ancestors ain't nothing to do with that. That's Herod. He lost people. And these people call themselves leaders. I'm a Moray. I'm going to the Western Wall. And those people, you see them rocking?
What is that?
Sex.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Did y'all know that? No. In the Talmud, that's a sexual thing they're doing with that wall. They're rocking back and forth.
That's crazy.
Having relations with the wall.
Another name for it is called the weeping wall. They kiss it and everything. I was just literally telling Joyce about this the other day.
And you think that wall's holy? That's what I'm telling you. Don't be enamored with these online YouTubers presentations, all this, and they got the shawls over them, the blue and white. They got pictures with menorahs. You're not being a scholar when you do this. That Western Wall don't belong to us. But you want to go over there, take pictures. That whole land is filthy.
Garbage.
And now you're a leader in the community. Let me sit down. I don't like what that is.
Such a strong homecoming feeling. And there are very famous pictures of, very tough soldiers after long days of fighting, just standing there, religious, non-religious, and just crying. Because we came back to our birthplace as a nation. So in that sense, there are no words to describe how important it was for the Jewish people and for the state of Israel when we came back to the place where we were born as a nation.
People say you immigrated.
To the Western Wall and to the Temple Mount.
With the defeat of the Egyptians, Jordanians, and Syrians, Israel had now gained control of a much larger territory and much larger problems. With the retreat of Egypt and Jordan, Israel was now responsible for both the Gaza Strip and the West Bank.
The Six-Day War is a complicated war from many perspectives. From an international law perspective, it seems to me clear enough that the Egyptians closed the Straits of Tiran, which is an act of war against Israel. And if Israel was the first to start bombing, it was responding to another act of war.
We have to remember that in 1967, in June of 1967, the Arab states attacked Israel. It was a concerted effort. Israel fought back, and by a whole series of miracles, Israel actually not only defeated the enemies, but was able to retake territory that had not been Israeli territory.
Israel did extend an olive branch at the end of that war and offered to give back all the territories right away.
In fact,
the heart of the conflict was.
Did y'all hear what he said?
All they spent the olive branch to give the territories.
Decided to close the strait.
How you giving back the land of the Most High? How you the people? You gonna give? You saying they don't belong here, but you took it from them. But I'm gonna give it back to you.
What's going on?
How you gonna get the land the Most High gave to you? It's madness, family.
And if Israel was the first to start bombing, it was responding to another.
A week, the whole country was living in fear.
أما أوصي هذا فأهديه إلى كل من اتخذ الله غايته والقرآن دستوره والرسول قدوته والجهاد هو الطريق الوحيد لتحرير فلسطين كل فلسطين من دنس اليهود. أمي الغالية يا من صهرتي من أجل راحتي ها أنا اليوم أضحي بنفسي لكي أشفع لك يا حبيبتي ويا مهجتي كفكفي دموعك لا تحزني فوالله لقد نلت أقصى ما كنت أتمنى ما لي أراك حزينة.
In the absence of any cessation of the kind of incitement that we see and the kind of hatred, Israel had to take a practical solution, which was, if the terrorists can't get into the country, they can't blow up innocent civilians.
Israel's response to the waves of attacks against their people was to build the controversial barrier between them and the terrorists.
There's a wall being built, completely surrounding Gaza, completely surrounding Bethlehem and other substantial-sized cities, deeply intruding into Palestinian territory and encompassing more and more land for the Israelis to take away from Palestine.
The security fence has one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to stop terror attacks. And in that, it has been.
Or you know one thing about?
Zechariah 2 and 4, and said unto them, Run, speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem or Yerushalayim shall be inhabited as towns without walls for a multitude of men and cattle therein.
Give it to him again.
And said unto him,
Book, chapter, and verse.
Zechariah chapter 2 and verse 4. And said unto him, Run, speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem or Yerushalayim shall be inhabited as towns without walls for the multitude of men and cattle therein.
Y'all got guards guarding y'all gates. Y'all not the people.
You built a wall.
You had to build the Most High says, my people going to lay down in safety. Get your house in order.
Very, very successful. The attempts that we have had now have been in the areas where the security fence has not yet been completed, and it simply saves lives. It's not pretty in many places, although I should point out that it is 96% fence and it's only 4% wall, although of course it's the wall that you usually see on television.
Israel never built this wall. Israel was never want to build this wall. If there is anybody build this wall,
Israel built the wall. Who most recently was talking about building a wall? Trump. So who's really running 2+2? Y'all see? These Khazars, fish people, are behind everything. Trump, you ain't had a good idea since you. Come on, y'all. Good grace of the Lord.
The Palestinians themselves and Hamas and the terrorist attacks.
It is not an ideal solution. Again, I don't think that anyone would have said, "Oh, gee, I'm really looking forward to the day that we have to build a security barrier down the middle of our country." But it is a practical response to a very real situation. And the fact is that since the security barrier, which is mostly a fence, it's only a wall in a very, very small part of the country, terror attacks have been way down.
The effectiveness of the security barrier is evidenced in this video of Ramadan SELAH, head of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad, on the Hezbollah television station Al Manar.
الإمكانات في تنفيذ عمليات هذه مسألة ميدانية. داخل الضفة الغربية هناك مثلا الجدار الفاصل الذي شكل عائق في وجه المقاومة وإلا كان الوضع مختلف تماما.
They allow the Palestinians to cross the borders in the time that there was a peace. They give them jobs. They allow the people to cross as they please for their economic, for teaching, for water, for food, for whatever reason. But when you keep attacking Israel and you keep killing the civilians and the children and women in the buses and in restaurants and in the coffee shops, what you want from Israel as a state to do to protect themselves? They need to put this wall for security. But does Israel build this wall? Is the Palestinians, terrorists and the extremists and the Hamas leadership. They are the one who built this wall. It was not Israel. Maybe it was built by Israeli hand, but it was built by Palestinian will.
So he's, of course, a fish person, and he's saying, don't blame us for building this wall. It's y'all attacking us. Now, what we're standing up saying, us real Israelites, if you're the real people, you don't need no wall. Because when we get back, we won't have no guns and walls. We're walking up and down our cities as we see fit. So if you wasn't occupying, being a colonizer, they wouldn't be blowing up your children in coffee shops. Go back to where you belong. And you notice how they never read any scriptures? If you're the people, what you tell the Palestinians here? Zechariah 2 and 4, what you brought out?
Zechariah 2 and 4.
And these politicians, you right. The Palestinians know y'all don't fit the book. Don't be fooled by these Muslims. They know the Tanakh. These Muslims know the Tanakh like the back of their hands. That's why they won't give up. Y'all not the people. As long as y'all not the people, even though they call him Allah, well, that's a different story. They know nothing's going to happen to them. If we was there, they would know it's time to chill out. These are the people of Yah. That's why they got held up here, because even you Christians, AKA you Romans, y'all knew we was the people, because most of y'all, 2 of y'all emperors says their rock has forsaken them. They deserve this. So by the fact that y'all acknowledging you know we the people and you still burn and rape us, that's why the Father's raining down on y'all. Had you been humble like the other oppressors, Cyrus, Nimrod, these people are the people, whatever Daniel says, do it. Whatever Ezra says, do it. And our Father made you prosperous. But when you try to subdue us and make us sacrifice swine and have us, anybody can get married. When you subject us to that,
Worship your idols.
Make us have Easter egg hunts in the church and say it's holy. It's okay to have a tree. This tree don't mean nothing. Okay. We're going to run about 10 more minutes and we're going to save the rest for next week.
The word apartheid is exactly accurate. You know, this is an area that's occupied by 2 powers. They're now completely separated. The Palestinians can't even ride on the same roads that the Israelis have created or built in Palestinian territory. The Israelis never see a Palestinian except their Israeli soldiers. The Palestinians never see an Israeli except at a distance, except the Israeli soldiers. So within Palestinian territory, they're absolutely and totally separated, much worse than they were in South Africa, by the way. And the other thing is, the other definition of apartheid is one side dominates the other, and the Israelis completely dominate the life of the Palestinian people.
The canard that Israel's security barrier is somehow, the term used, batted around as apartheid wall, as if apartheid, under which millions of black South Africans suffered, a real regime denying them fundamental human rights and civil rights, as if there's any kind of way that you can look at Israel as a democracy, which gives full rights to its Arab, Muslim, Christian, and other minorities in its country, and which has encouraged more freedoms to the Palestinians under our...
Maria brought this out a week ago. He says, now of course, he's a fishman. He's a Khazar. He's an Israeli. He's saying, we give full rights to everybody over here. How can you really use that word? That word apartheid is so horrible because the South Africans were being subjugated. How can you use that word when we're giving everyone equal rights? According to our Torah, according to the Israelites' constitution, can we be priests? Judah. Can strangers come into our inner sanctuary? So how are y'all the people of the book? You ain't doing nothing the constitution of the people of the book calls for.
Exactly.
No one's equal citizens with us. Can I serve him forever?
No.
Can it was for those online? Can an Israelite serve another Israelite forever?
7 years.
7 years tops. A Gentile, a stranger, if he wants to serve an Israelite forever, because we've been good to him, he can serve me forever. But again, this servitude, because of these curses, people think, oh, y'all just want slaves and stuff. It's servants, it's butlers. So a stranger can be our butlers and maids forever. It was coming in the Torah. The Most High says in the Torah, don't take each other to be servants. Take the strangers that's with you, and they will be your inheritance to pass on to your children.
It makes sense too when I think about it, because like over here, it's just you in an apartment. You don't need no servants, but you got an inheritance that goes all the way back to patriarchs and stuff. You got land, you got things that need farming, you got things that need watched over. Then when you have a big family, you got food that need, different things that just need to be brought in and done. Different things need to be, it's work.
So it's not slavery that we went through, but it is servants who are pretty much family. This woman birthed my great grandbaby. She's family. She's just a servant, but there's not equal citizenship in our land. We're not equal to King David's sons.
Right.
Y'all understand that? King David's line is the royal line. Now, all of us, I'm pretty sure most of us are Judah. It is going to be some other tribes when we get back. It's going to be some other tribes when we go in. But most of us are going to come from Judah. But only the ones of us boys who come from Judah can go back to David. Thank you. Only those who descend from David loins can be part of the kingship. So it's not, we don't even have equal citizenship in our land. So, Mr. Israeli, what are you talking about that you treat everybody equal? And then what Shemaiah brought out, if y'all the people of the book, and the Most High gave y'all land back, who's supposed to be ruling y'all?
Nobody. The Most High is.
No.
Oh.
What you said?
I said, why would you, I think I remember saying, why would you go and live like in New York? Why would you leave the promised land?
Who's the ruling tribe of Israel?
Oh, Judah, yeah.
One of David's boys. When you brought that out?
Yeah, one of David's sons supposed to be a king, and not Abinadab and this new guy.
You talking about you got a democracy?
Benjamin Netanyahu. You having elections? Yeah, that's okay. I do remember.
You were.
Yeah,
that's a powerful point.
How can you have an election when it's automatically just this is David, Solomon, et cetera, to whoever the next son up is supposed to be in rulership. Yeah,
you're supposed to have no democracy voting for your leader. It's David. The leadership went to David's line. So you up here act like you shooting at Palestinians and we giving them equal rights and we making them. You're just showing me that you're not the people of the book.
They following Rome system. Wow.
That ties back to you married the Khazars and the Romans married. So you Khazarians, that's what we brought this out. So much history. That word is not Caesar. That's what they told us in their schools, Caesar. If you look at that pronunciation up, even on Wikipedia, that's Khazar. They took the title of Khazar to show they're married to the Khazarian Empire. So you Khazarians and you Romans are the same people, Like I just brought out, you have a Roman government. Israelites don't have a Roman government. Abba says David's sons are going to rule, and David has my priest to guide him. When David had a problem, what did he do?
See the priest, or like Nathan, Gad.
He got seers, and then he got the Levites. Go get a word from Yah. Y'all voting for get a word. So you think you standing up shooting down the Palestinians? You're bearing witness that we the people, and you're not. That's what you're doing for us.
Can I just say,
Come.
that just really illustrates that we are a set apart people because they're uniting under one. They want to come together. The whole agenda is Christianity, Islam, and those Jewish people.
Well, Christianity, I was going to say Catholicism, but that's Christianity.
Yeah, they want to come together. They, I was listening to NPR yesterday. They had all three representatives, a rabbi, a bishop, and they all was talking about this pagan weekend and what it means to them and how they're coming together. But that just shows us that the Most High called us to be set apart. And for those of us who are keeping Torah, we are set apart. You're not with them.
That coexist movement.
Exactly.
They're behind that. Now, while you was talking, sis, hold your thought, because while she was talking, what precept came to my head, they trying to coexist, what the Abba says when he gave us the land? What he told Joshua? Be strong and make no allegiance with those people.
Make no marriage.
He said, have no mercy on those people. So how y'all the people said, okay, you're telling me the Palestinians don't belong here, but you're going to let them stay here.
Wow.
The Father says, now if you want to take it back to Jubilees, this is not the land of Canaan. It became known as the land of Canaan because Canaan broke the Noahide covenant. Noah says, don't encroach on each other's land. So Canaan, the son of Ham, went and took Shem's land. And his own dad and uncles and brothers says, Canaan, don't do that. That's not our lot. Now, not only did Canaan do that, one of Japhet boys did that. Media. When Media saw Canaan do it, he went and took some of Shem's land. So you got some Japhites over there. That's why Yah is bringing fire around your inheritance. He told us, don't make the league. This is our land anyway. I'm compromising with you about my. And now you want to run because you own the media. You want to act like you're doing something big. We're giving them concessions. Palestinians, we're giving you Gaza. We're giving you a job. Why you mad because I burnt your uncle up? Ain't you getting a check every week? This is what they're telling people, and pastoring them just, we shall overcome. You want to march down the same bridge that you sick dogs on my people, and you think I'm going to be all right with that? You think I'm a peace because you're here now it's all better? You want to show a quick little video of you sick dogs on my people, and now have a whole hour of us walking over the bridge 50 years later. That's a dumbed down job bed. Both sides' vengeance is here, family.
A jurisdiction since 1967, freedom of the press, freedom of religion, women's rights. The idea that this epithet, apartheid, has any application to Israel, whether Israel proper and our Muslim and Arab minority, and or our treatment of the Palestinians, it's preposterous. Let's be intellectually honest in our use of language. Apartheid was one thing. You want to argue with me as to whether or not building the security barrier was the correct policy response by Israel to the scourge of terror attacks? You want to say to me that you think it was unjustified or that it's not effective? You can say that. Reasonable people can disagree. I will argue that it's actually the most effective and the policy which causes the least damage to the Palestinian population than any other policy. But to suggest that Israel's policies and the terrorists are imperialist or colonialist or racist, or to use terms like apartheid or collective punishment, that it's just not justified based on the facts on the ground.
One man would refine terror tactics and make terrorist a household word. Yasser Arafat.
No.
تمديد يا فلسطين. فمعا وسويا وجنبا إلى جنب حتى القدس 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 القدس.
Before Arafat came along, there was a generation of Palestinians who knew what it was like to live side by side with Israel in peace. Again, the circumstances may not have been ideal. They may not have, they've always wanted a separate state, but at least there was not the hatred. There was more of a sense of cooperation. What Arafat began was a real culture of hate in which an entire generation has been brainwashed to believe that Israel has no right to exist.
You heard what you said?
Brainwashed. The whole population has been brainwashed.
She's saying a whole generation of Palestinians have been brainwashed to believe that Israel don't have a right to exist. Now we can flip it on you and tell you, your generation has been brainwashed to believe you belong there.
Exactly.
And we got your own people. I got 2 books down here, I believe. The Invention of the Jewish People, Shlomo Sands saying, we don't have no Judean blood in us. We got Arthur Kessler's, the 13th tribe, like, well, the 12 tribes are black, so we must be the 13th tribe. You got the one we open up with, he's the grandson of the 1948 saying, I don't think that we are the Hebrews of 3,000 years ago. My grandparents immigrated from Ukraine. We got your own people telling you that you're not the people. So you want to say these Palestinians have been brainwashed with hate? We're telling you you've been brainwashed to believe you belong there. Now, let's give honor to Abba Yah, because that prophecy, Genesis 9, I shall enlarge Japheth. Remember, we brought out that that's not enlarge, meaning in a good thing. In the usage that fit, I will deceive Japheth, and Japheth shall dwell in the tents of Shem. You see how this is Abba Yah's work? You see how we barack him? Japheth thinks he belongs. Yah has deceived you. So this is all glory to Abba Yah. Japheth really thinks he belongs there. You got skin cancer, the highest in the world. Y'all notice when they're out in the sun, they can't take it? Those interviews they're doing? So Japheth mixed with Khazar, Yah has deceived you. You think you really are Jews. All praise to Abba Yah.
Abishai had something from a few minutes ago. Go ahead, Abishai.
Yes, this goes along with what you're still saying, the deception. The greatest deception is on our own people. Not knowing who you are and thinking somebody else is a Jew. Again, because the scripture that says, my people are destroyed from lack of knowledge. Well, you don't have any knowledge. Therefore, you're ignorant because you're led by blind guides, and you've been told a false history because you're born at a certain time period where everything has been washed and scrubbed away and rewritten and iconoclasm. But again, if even if those who are claiming to be spiritual and they read Bible, well, you would know that those people are not the people if you knew what we was talking about with how they have presidential elections. Well, you would know that that's not how you get a seat as a king or as a president, which is the same thing. You would know that the order would be only from the line of Judah. And if they're priests, you would know that they will only be from the line of Levi. But you, because you don't read the Bible like you think you do, you don't know that order because you're ignorant.
All the way up.
It ain't on at all.
Oh, it's not on? Oh.
Y'all getting hot, y'all can put it on. Abishai, repeat your last part.
Ain't nothing playing.
Yeah. I said that that those who claim to read the Bible are claim to be a religious person and to think that they know these scriptures, they would know that those people are not the people, because if you read the Bible, then you would know how a person can become a king in that nation, or how a person can become a priest in that nation. You have to be Levi to be this. You have to be Judah to be that. but because you don't read, you lack that knowledge, therefore you're ignorant, therefore you're able to believe that that person or those people are those people, because you don't even know the order of the scriptures that are lined up in your own Bible.
I was listening to these Christians last night, and this sister, I think she's a leader or clergy in her community, and she's refuting the awakening. And she read a verse that it's not funny. We gotta reach these people. I'm praying for wisdom how to reach these people. But she read a verse that used the word quickening. How the Most High through His Son is going to quicken us with new spirits. So she says, it's not about awakening. That's how we know these people are off. It's not about awakening. It's about a quickening of a new spirit. And it took all the resolve not to join in this panel and click the link that, like, woman, you don't know what you're talking about. So I just no scholarship, no deep seminary, just do search one of the concordance for awake. Psalms 57:8. Awake, O glory, awake, O harp and lyre. I will awake the dawn. Awake my soul. Isaiah 52:1. Awake, awake, clothe yourself with strength, O Zion. Put on your garments. And this is Zion, the people, because how can the earth awake and put on garments? So this ain't not the land, this is the people. Let's continue on, get some more. Isaiah 51:17. Awake, awake, rise up, O Jerusalem, you who have drunk the hand of the Most High. So these Christians think they're so deep, going to seminary, and my pastor got a PhD, and my pastor said under so-and-so, and you're not reading the prophecies. Remember, what's our declaration? These are Israelite scrolls written by Israelites. If you don't understand the Israelites, you won't understand these scrolls. These Christians, you have a praise breaks and he go behind the whole, oh, devil was a liar, oh, cast this out and cast that out. The black hunter. Can Satan cast out Satan? You're in the house of Satan. When you say the Most High is not going to awake his people, you're calling his prophecies a lie. Talking about it's not that's how we know they're off. Ain't no awakening, it's a quickening. And to a Christian, that sounds sweet. Like she just said something deep. Right. Bless God. Give me that A flat. Hit that hi-hat. And we have to be mature and talk to these people and listen to these people and understand they're sick. So let them scoff and condescend, and whatever the Most High put in your spirit to give them, you give it to them and you shake the dust off. We with love is trying to win these people. We want to sit down with them. They don't want to sit down with us. But I thought I'm a lost soul, and you wouldn't call the win souls for Christ. You should be wanting to come in here. Let me show you, brother, how you don't miss the way. Let me show you how the law is not the key to salvation. Let me show you it don't matter about Abraham. We're willing to do that with you, Pastor. And I'm willing to concede and receive correction and let you know everything we taught family has been false. This brother just showed me the way. I don't care about who's right. I want the truth. But you, pastor, been preaching for 30 years. This is your ministry. You got young men in your church telling you, I think this ain't the way, and you want to silence them. You can stay, but just don't talk about Yahweh Shai. What? How can someone believe in a different Messiah than you? You're the head and say you can stay here, right. Just don't talk about that. Right. You must have went to seminary, sis. Where you went, Moody?
I was gonna say with that statement, with that video, what fellowship shall light have with darkness?
You call on Allah, I'm calling on Yah. You can't stay here, brother. You can't stay here. You got two options if you're a Gentile stranger. Get circumcised and follow this covenant, or you got to get out of here. That's the constitution we received.
You might die on your way out.
You better hurry up.
Take them out back like Old Yeller.
Yeah, like you either gonna follow the ways of Yah in here, or you gonna get out. You ain't no compromise. Okay, you can call Allah. This. Come on, Shamaya, get your shovel. We're gonna carve out his little area right here.
I'm gonna carve his grave.
This is the area right here. You can call on Allah right here.
No, you ain't calling no Allah in our land because we all gonna be dead. That's true. Go ahead and let it play. Go ahead.
My goodness.
That all of Israel is Palestinian land, and more importantly for the young people, that their goal should be to be martyrs, shaheeds for Allah. They should grow up and use violence as a means to get what they want.
سيدي الرئيس، ما هي الرسالة التي تريد أن توصلها إلى الشعب الفلسطيني بشكل عام والأطفال فلسطين بشكل خاص؟
هو هذا الطفل اللي بيمسك الحجر قدام الدبابة مش أكبر رسالة للعالم وبيستشهد هذا البطل؟ احنا فخورين به.
He himself was born in Egypt, was a student activist there before he then moved to Judea Samaria when it was under Jordanian territory. When it was under Jordan, he moved to the West Bank, and there he initiated terror attacks against Israel. Again, with the open declared goal of destroying Israel and replacing it with what he claimed was a Palestinian nation.
وأكنا في بيت المقدس وهم في رباط إلى يوم الدين وشهيدهم ب40 شهيد منكم. قول لمين؟ لأصحابه. قول لهم شهيدهم هدول ب40 شهيد منكم. هذه هي المنة التي منها الله عليكم يا أشبال يا زهرات فلسطين. أنتم الأمل. أنتم فعلا زي ما قال أخي قبل قليل إن شبلا من أشبالنا وزهرة من زهراتنا سيرفعان عاجلا أم آجلا سيرفعان.
The total destruction of the Jewish state of Israel was the goal of Arafat and all who followed him. The indoctrination of hate and incitement of violence fueled his movement known as the PLO, known now today as the Fatah. Nani Darwish knows too well the circumstances surrounding the conflict, having lived in Gaza as a little girl, before her father, an Egyptian army commander, was assassinated by Israel, and later replaced by Yasser Arafat.
He was installed a couple of years after my father died in Gaza, and he was installed to start the jihad against Israel by the Arab world. He became a partner with all the Arab leaders. He was the puppet of the Arab world. He was not making policy. He was taking orders from 22 Arab countries who made him a hero of jihad.
One of Arafat's more sinister and effective strategies was to claim the name Palestinian and re-educate his people to believe that the Jews had never existed in the land.
One of the things that's very important for the Palestinians is to give themselves a history. The Jewish history in the land of Israel is well known for thousands of years, and it's completely documented for thousands of years. Arabs only arrived in the region in the 7th century.
Arabs only arrived. Yeah. What I was going to say, since you paused it, I was going to say what it seemed like is the history that we brought out about the Muslims started overtaking they overtook our people, and then they got stopped, you said, by the
Caucasus, by the Khazars.
Right. So they had that land, but we know like Turkey is like connected to like it's close to like Syria, Lebanon,
right, that's Asia.
So it seemed like that the intermingling of those Japheth sons started that where you see how they started looking lighter, because you can tell that one that we brought out that said that they left black and came back white, that he mixed with some melanated people, but it's continuing to dilute. But, and I want to say, thinking about, we read Maccabees and we were showing how the sons would say, well, our fathers had this land from 100 years ago. So to them, we only been born 30 years, 50 years, right? So to them, it is their land. So to the Palestinians, it is their land.
Right.
The Israelis, they weren't there. Like,
Right.
so to their fathers, if they go back, you know, because think about this, we were scattered years, thousands of years. We ain't nowhere to be, the real people nowhere to be found, but they know of the history of the real people. At least they did, like when that guy that we said got assassinated was there.
Zamaria, get Jeremiah 17:4. Keep going, I'll finish it.
And so when they're, and that's why I want to see this segment here, because when these Palestinians are saying, like, they know that those Israelis weren't there because their ancestors was there, because their ancestors overtook what was left of our ancestors.
Now, before he reads this is funny what you're bringing out and what he's this fishman on the screen, because like you're saying, depending on how far you go back, it may appear that these fish people, Israelis, are the real people. And then, like, you got some of them, these fish people are saying that we've been in forever because they've been indoctrinated. Now you got some of their people are breaking away and doing some studies saying, no, we're not the real people. Now look at us over here. We're waking up telling people we're not Negroes.
Right.
And you got our own people saying, I am a Negro.
Right.
And we're telling you, I'm not American. And they're saying, I am American.
Right.
You see how it's all about perspective. So like you're saying, and that Israeli grandson, let's get back to the original. If we go back 3,000 years, you Palestinians or you Israelis wouldn't be here. It would be real Jews and real Arabs who are brothers and cousins. You just got to keep going back to the root.
Yeah.
Jamaria, bring out that Jeremiah 17:4.
Jeremiah 17:4. And thou even thyself shall discontinue from thine heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever.
So, Mr. Kazar, Mr. Fish, even when y'all was in Ukraine and y'all was in Germany saying that the Germans are treating y'all bad, y'all still knew y'all was Jewish. We're over here in America, don't even know that we are Jews.
Right.
So how do you fit Jeremiah 17:4? You don't, Mr. Fishman. We're the ones waking up telling people, listen, America's not our home. Africa is not my home. Well, I know y'all Africa, back to Africa. No, it's back to Yerushalayim, Jerusalem. So you always got to go back the farthest you can go back. And like we were saying about our grandparents, some of our grandparents knew I'm a Blackfoot, and that's all they knew. My mother, I tried to get some history from her. My mother, I didn't know it till this year, before she got sick. She don't even remember her. She never met her grandfather or her mom's side. Now, my family comes from the backwoods of Georgia. Could it be her grandfather, my great-grandfather, was lynched?
Oh, he died early because of the hardship. Like my great-grandfather, they said he died early. Daniel, they said he died at a young age because I'm sure it was tough.
All of y'all fish people know all y'all generations going back to Ukraine. This man we open up with, the grandson says, my grandparents immigrated from Ukraine. We got our parents don't know their grandparents.
Exactly.
How is that possible?
Because Jeremiah 17:4.
We the people of the book, family. Somebody else has something else?
No.
And Palestinians, as is the Arabs who are in Judea and Samaria today, are really very, very recent arrivals. A century ago, the country had essentially a few 100,000 Arabs, and if you look at them today, and look at their history today, most of the people who call themselves Palestinians today came from Syria, from Lebanon area, and from Egypt area. But it's important for them to create this Palestinian myth in order to give themselves a history. Now, the way they do this is they take all of Jewish history and they put academics, professors on television who say that wasn't really Jewish history, it was really Muslim in Arab history.
لا علاقة بيهود اليوم بكل ادعاءاتهم بيهود الأمس القدامى.
أما بالنسبة لبني إسرائيل أو بنو إسرائيل فهم أيضا قبائل عربية وقبائل عربية من الأقحاح العرب. والله صدقني إنه في دمي
من السامية
من بني إسرائيل والعبريين القدامى أجدادنا أكثر من.
You have, for example, the chairman of the Palestinian Public Library, who
telling the truth, but y'all want to paint him as being pseudo. He's saying there's more Israelite blood in my blood than there is in Netanyahu and Sharon, the other leader they had. He's telling the truth. We are cousins to the Arabs. That's why I have no problems with the Arabs, the real Arabs. Y'all know y'all place. Abraham told y'all before he passed away, take care of your brother. We got the record saying that. Abraham taught Ishmael and Esau how to sacrifice the Yah. That's why Esau, that spirit in Esau was from the womb. Because Abraham taught you how to sacrifice the Yah before he died. You got birdie and said, I'm going to do my own thing. Now I'm going to be jealous of Jacob and I'm going to take Jacob's land. So the real Arabs, Abraham loved y'all. He says, sacrifice only the Yah and look at the Isaac for me. He told y'all that. So us real Arabs and Jews, we know that we have no beef. It's these fake ones who don't know their place. Y'all cause the contention. You have to know history, family. Church don't teach no history. We all just, we're blessed to be Gentiles.
who says that the Hebrews of the Bible were Arabs and the Hebrews of the Bible were Muslims. And therefore, what he's done is he erases Jewish connection to the land and he turns the whole history of the Bible into Arab and therefore Palestinian history.
He just twisted that man's words. He said the Arabs and the Israelites are sons of Abraham. Do you see how you got to listen to these liars?
And he didn't. Go ahead. Oh yeah, he is. And he said, he said the man in the interview said that I have as much blood in me as Netanyahu and those Ish people. He didn't never say once, from what I saw, that the Arabs replaced the ancient Israelites of the Bible. He said the Ish people don't have a relation to the ancient Israelites in the Bible.
That's what he was saying. The real Arabs and the real Israelites are brothers through Abraham. Now he's twisting it, and that's why you gotta watch these liars, fam. You gotta watch these liars.
Of course, ridiculous from any academic or any historical perspective, but they have been doing this over and over and over again, pretending that they have a few thousand-year-old history in the land by stealing Jewish history and claiming it's their own.
As Arab children, for example, I was told, just like all Arab children, that Jerusalem is a Muslim city and foreigners, Jews are foreigners who came and occupied. They never told us that to the Jews, Jerusalem is like Mecca to the Muslims. To the Christians, Bethlehem and Jerusalem is like Mecca and Medina to the Muslims. And this is a fact that unfortunately many Arabs don't want to accept. They want to deny the Jewish people of their holy land.
I remember where we at. We writing history.
It's good. I'm interested.
And this is just one of the. I found another one we have to bring. I may just chop that one up.
I see what you were saying about the thing, so I'm gonna definitely try to bring some little slides.
Right, like when you get ready, let me know. This is the history we have to go through. Our own people who look like us, who came through the same womb we come through, are our enemies. And yes, it hurts, but it's prophecy. We have to defend what we're doing to people who look like us. And we got these strangers telling people that we're not the real Israelites. And we got prophecy and historical research to say that we are, and we got our own people coming against us, painting us to be quacks and pseudos. We're YouTube scholars. Like your university is any better than YouTube.
Right.
Tell me who founded your university, Dr. Seminary. Tell me who wrote your curriculum, Dr. Seminary. Because if one of the apostles didn't write your curriculum, you just got pagan scholastics.
Peer reviewed.
Peer reviewed. Are any of your articles peer reviewed? You know what peer reviewed means, family? My homeboy co-signed what I wrote. But you get on your YouTube channel and you start throwing out these pagan scholastic terms like you're some kind of scholar. That's all peer review means. My homeboy, because he's a doctor too, he's a doctor from this university. He wrote a preface to my book. So these Black Negroes are calling themselves Israelites and pulling up these documents that's not peer reviewed. None of the apostles' letters were peer reviewed. So this is the level we go through trying to win the Christian, to let them know this is not made up what you're witnessing. This is prophecy. This is prophecy.
I want to read, I was saving it, and it made sense to wait to the end. I did say it, but bringing it out and thinking about all the stuff that you helped bring out, the Most High helped bring out over the past couple of weeks, giving me a different understanding of Joel 3, putting the names to the faces to prophecy and stuff like that. So I'm going to just read some of the top half of Joel 3.
Bring it up.
And it says, verse 1, for behold, in those days and at that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah, Yehudah, or Yerushalayim. That phrase in English, we know is kind of, they can't match the Hebrew, but he's basically saying, I'm getting ready to turn the captivity or reverse it, turn it around. And it says, I will also gather all the nations and bring them down to the valley of Jehoshaphat, Yahweh Shaphat, the Most High's judgments, and will plead with them there for my people and my heritage, Yasharallah, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. So that part right there, we just learned about 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago that the Ashkenazi was in charge of a lot of the ships that our people was getting sent on. Mm-hmm. Therefore, they that scattered the people among the nations, they play a part of it. And we saw how those Cohen and Moses shops that was in the United States in the South were auctioning off men and women, correct? So it says, and they have cast lots for my people and have given a boy for a harlot and sold a girl for wine that they might drink, right? So we saw in this video that they built the wall, and it said in 1967, they start changing the ancient landmarks. So it's given a more picture of who these people are that Joel 3 is talking about. And it's kind of funny when you think about, like, where's all the major conflicts regarding like war been going on at, or like the rumors of war? It's always in that area. It's always in that area that where nations is trying to fight. Iran, Syria, etc. So it's to me, it's giving me more credence now. And it says, yea, what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, and all the coast of Palestine? It's making more sense now that it's this same area that we're talking about in this video and that you've been bringing out through the Spirit of the Most High the whole time. The valley of Yahweh Shaphat is going to be right there in that area. And he specifically is telling you, we can't make this word up. It said the coast of Palestine. Palestine, they gave them the Gaza area. The Gaza area is near the water over here. That's the coast. That's the coast of Palestine. Then when you go to what I brought out in the past, if you were here, the Zephaniah, where he said that Ashdod and Ashkelon is going to be basically desolate so that his people can move in.
now this Joel 3 is all making sense. And he says in verse 5, verse 4, all the coasts of Palestine will ye render me a recompense, because even some of those Palestinians, remember, they overthrew our ancestors.
Come on now.
And if you recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head, because you have taken my silver and my gold and carried it into their own temples, my pleasantly good things. So we know that, yes, the Catholic Church has a lot of ancient artifacts and things of that nature, but also the people that's just right in the land, they know where to go. They know where they took the silver and gold that we had. They made their own temples, like we just pointed out with Herod, building a fake wall. So it's making sense. And it says, verse 6, the children also of Judah, Yehuda, and the children of Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, have you sold to the Grecians, that you might remove them far from their border. So now it makes sense that the Khazars sold us to the people who are the other sons of Japheth, the Grecians. That's where the more common Europeans come in at.
Come on now.
Who we would say, like, for example, the Joe Bidens and the Clintons, if they didn't change their name, because the Europeans, the Grecians is the ones we focus on, but we don't focus on the Ashkenazi having a role in slavery. But here he's saying that he's saying that these people who parted his land sold his people and scattered them, but they sold them to another group, a specific group of people,
Come on now.
the Grecians. So I'm like, okay, now it's making sense, especially with us being in America. We got the Ashkenazis, but then we know we have the people from the Roman blood, the Grecian blood, and we know they all mixed together.
Come on now.
And then it says, behold, I will raise them out of the place whether ye have sold them. So all the nations where we're scattered, he's gonna raise us up, and then he's gonna return the recompense to their own head, which we see starting to happen in the world now. And it says, and then he will sell their sons and daughters into the hand of the children of Judah, which we would then in turn sell them to the Sabians, to a people afar off. So I just wanted to point out, we all read that before, but if you've been following, I believe it should give you a better picture of who these people are that Joel is talking about.
Yeah. We have to ask these real questions. Time off all this speaking in tongues and come on here, let's get the gift of the Spirit going. Let's ask some practical questions. These people call themselves Israelis. Do you have records of your people being sold to Greeks?
See what I'm saying?
Y'all immigrated around the world. When people got tired of y'all being greedy, y'all had to leave because people noticed that all y'all are taking control of. So y'all brought your own calamities on y'all by being greedy. But y'all wasn't sold to no one. Russia might have kicked y'all out, says, yeah, it's time for y'all to go. Germany may have kicked y'all out. It's like, y'all getting too greedy over here. Y'all control all the industry and y'all not trickling down the wealth to the native people. So yeah, y'all did get kicked out of places, but y'all brought your calamity on yourselves. We were sold.
Right.
Do y'all have any receipts that y'all were sold? Our own people are telling us we're not the people, but we got receipts after receipts.
We literally got literal receipts.
We got literal receipts. Jews selling blacks.
Literal.
We got the handbills that y'all sold us.
And it said a boy for a harlot and a girl for wine. Like, it's on record.
Just give me a case of rum. Wow. We had a bad trip and we lost everything. Give me a bowl of rice and a bottle of rum, and you can get this girl. We got receipt. We're not making stuff up. And what makes this so bad? Yes, the Nation of Islam produced this book, but when you're looking at this book, it's all advertisements that y'all created.
That's what
that's still in the libraries. And we got receipts, family.
And it tells them the ages of the boys and girls. So we know that it's literal, sold a boy for
XYZ and a girl for wine, because you're saying I have this 12-year-old boy here, this 13-year-old girl here. It's telling you that we got saved, we got sold. Women,
we got receipts.
and
Jews
children.
selling blacks.
It's crazy.
Auction sales. Auction sales. Even on the back cover, the Jewish Encyclopedia, the cotton plantations in many parts of the South were wholly in the hands of the Jews. And as a consequence, slavery found its advocates among them. Slavery found its advocates among them, the Jews. The Khazars, the fish people, wanted slavery to continue because that was their bread and butter. So when Joel 3 says, you have sold my people to the Greeks, it's talking about you Khazars. So the prophecy says that when we disobey, we were going to slavery. Mr. Khazar, how you are the Jews who went into slavery and we got receipts saying that y'all sold the slaves? How you the people on the boat and you own the boat too? Can you sketch that up for me? So all these Protestants dedicating your YouTube channels to try to debunk the pseudo-Israelites, where's your receipts at? That's why we live by prophecy here. That's what we stand on. I don't care about no DNA. I put on the brother's page last night. I was listening in, and it was like, DNA is their science. They made that up. So they could change the algorithm anytime they want. Oh, new scientist comes out and find out we've been doing DNA wrong the whole time. It's no longer this marker, it's this marker, and it comes to find out. So that's why we don't put stock in their science. We got our stock on prophecy. Not one prophecy will fail, and we got research that's lining up with the Most High's word. We're the people of the book, family. And with that, I yield over up the floor for any questions, comments, and concerns. Yes, go ahead, sis.
Were we allowed to sell our land within or to other tribes?
Let's get the priesthood. Let's get it out the scrolls, y'all. I think it's going back to the Exodus. Let's go back to Exodus. For those online, sis just asked the question, was we allowed to sell our land?
To each other or within a tribe?
Is it Leviticus 20?
I think it's Leviticus, I'm thinking of either 26 or 20, for some reason 45 is popping in my head.
What's the part about, I think, is it in the same place where they misconstrued for 2 wives that you showed me?
No, he's saying that you are my servants and this is my land. You are my guest here. So don't sell my land.
I'm thinking about the Hebrew slave and that's what I'm thinking about.
You got Leviticus 25, 23.
That's what I was thinking. Go ahead, bring it out. Hold on, let me get there with you. That's the one that came to my mind. You say you found Leviticus 23?
25, 23.
That 25 that popped in my mind real quick. So that's what I think I was thinking.
Yeah.
25 and 23. Bring it out.
It says Leviticus 25, 23, the land shall not be sold forever, for the land is mine, for ye are strangers and sojourners with me. You could probably read 23, 24. Yeah. And in all the land of your possession, ye shall grant a redemption for the land. If thy brother be waxed poor and hath sold away some of his possession, and if any of his kin come to redeem it, then shall he redeem that which his brother sold. And if the man have none to redeem it, and himself be able to redeem it, then let him count the years of the sale thereof, and restore the overplus unto the man to whom he sold it, that he may return unto his possession. I wonder.
we can't sell our inheritance. If I fall on hard times, he has to let me redeem that land. And the Most High is saying, y'all are my strangers, y'all are my guests. So like, I don't know if you was driving this point, them carving out land for the Palestinians, you're already out of pocket, the Most High. And then you, like you said, they want to coexist. The Most High, it's the Most High's land for the children of Israel.
And I had 28 highlighted too. Basically, let's say the person was on hard times and could not repay the land that they sold to get it back. Then you keep it until the Jubilee, and then you have to give it back.
Free of charge.
That's verse 28.
Free of charge. Sis?
So I don't know why the Ruach was telling me this even before I came here. I know this is what you were teaching, but he gave me Acts 5, talking about Ananias and
Sapphira, yeah.
And he said it's a curse to sell. It is a curse to sell land.
Hold on, sis, let me get with you.
Because the earth is Yahuwah, it belongs to me. It's my land. I have given it to you. It's not yours to sell.
Wow.
So,
It's in Acts 5.
Acts 5.
That's
so we were always taught, and pray for me, because like I said, I've been in Christianity 57 years, all my life, born and raised. So I'm unlearning that as we come into righteousness and the truth. So they always brought up the scripture that you didn't bring, they didn't bring the full money of what they were given for the price of the land. But were these Israelite people?
These were Israelites here.
So they weren't supposed to sell the land point blank, period, right?
Well,
who did they sell the land to?
That's what we don't know. That's a part we're missing. They could have sold it to relatives, or because Roman soldiers were here, they could have sold it to. So we don't. But then I gotta ask. Now this is where we're getting into gray areas because we don't have no text. Because would Peter and them accept the money if they had sold it to strangers? Because we know we can't accept Gentile money into our collection. That's what the Torah says. So the Most High says, I don't want Gentile money or the hire of a harlot. So now, I don't have any text, fam. I don't have any text to support what I'm saying. We're just trying to use the culture to flesh out Sis' question. Sister Corinne is asking the question, Ananias and Sapphira sold the money for some property. And we know they held back some of the money from Peter. So the question is, if the Torah says we're not to sell our land, who did they sell their land to?
What land did they sell?
And what land did they sell?
Go back to 4:36. It says that, and Joseph, who was the apostle, surnamed Barnabas, which is being interpreted the son of consolation, a Levite, and of the country of Cyprus, having land, sold it and brought the money and laid it at the apostles' feet. So did he sell a piece of land that he had in Cyprus? Because Cyprus wouldn't be, is that Israelite? Is that land promised?
There's two ancient land masses named Cyprus. There's an island of Cyprus, and then so I'm not sure. So we don't have enough text to say what land Ananias and Sapphira sold. So putting the culture into it, being that the apostles accepted the money, would they accept it if the money, if they had broken the law?
I thought the Levites didn't have a
Now, remember, they didn't, but these people, this is a generation been lost away. They've been started doing their own, whatever. We go back to Joshua. When Joshua died, and Joshua and Phinehas and what was the priest? Eleazar. When those three elders died, they said, every man did what was right in his own eyes. We both lost our way. That's why King David came up in a generation, even the Levites had whores for wives. Even the Levites were committing idolatry. So that's why when we get to Messiah, that's why, my goodness, that's why we exalt Messiah. Them people stunk to him. You got the Levites marrying whores, and now you Levites are owning property. He said that I'm your inheritance. Y'all ain't supposed to own no property. So this is the history the church don't teach. They just read these scriptures and, but these hard questions like you just asked, he wouldn't know what to say about that. Well, you got to see what, no. Let's go back to the history and let you see where the priests and everyone, that's why the Most High says you Levites have broken my covenant. Now the children of Israel have gone astray. That's why the Levites got it harder than us, because like the brothers with the multiple wives, we broke it down with text and history. Multiple wives is not in our culture. But I wouldn't say those brothers are going off in sin because they don't know no better. They've been taught by other men who believe that's legal, because now they want to cite David and Solomon, and you miss the fact that they came up in a generation who every man did what was right in his own eyes. Do we got any Torah laws to do what's right in your own eyes? So that's why it takes this level of scholarship and fasting and praying. Let me slow down and get some understanding before I lead the Most High's children down a rabbit hole, talking about you can have multiple wives and you can have land. Don't be just so rushed to get out there in front of your camera, hit record with some shades on or some hooker over here. And yes, you know, miss me with all this annex and all this pious stuff. Let's read the text and history. So this is the generation that Messiah just was teaching. You're forsaking the ways of Yah for the ways of your father. So these Levites having land, it's textual, but they have been forsaking the law. Been forsaking the law. So now your original question, who did Ananias and Sapphira sell the land to? We would just be making a conjecture if we said who they sold the land to. But Peter and them told them, like, Peter and them was going to accept the money, and Peter and them should know that we can't sell our land. So all we got is conjecture. Like, did they sell it to someone in their family, or did they sell it to the Roman strangers, or other strangers who coming in? And because remember, Rome was the first ones. Like, listen, as long as you want to pay tribute to Caesar, you could be our friends, and we'll give you some of Jerusalem. Yeah, you want to rule this part of Jerusalem? Come on in. Just make sure you keep the Jews in line and send your taxes back to Rome. So it was other strangers working for Rome in this period. This is all the history that the pastors won't tell people. They won't answer these questions. Me and Gina left church in 2012, 2013, but I remember, you know, I said, I'm gonna do this thing. I don't play about nothing. I don't play with Jesus. I don't play with Yahweh Shai. So I went and I joined the church. I'm going to new members class, and like Gina says, we learning John 3:16, and I'm in the basement with like 3 other people with new members. And then I went to Bible study one night, and it really disappointed me because Gina had to work or somewhere. She was working late or whatever. And I'm like, no, I ain't letting that stop me. I caught the bus to Bible study. I'm like, you catch the bus everywhere else, to the clubs and to shopping. Catch the bus to Bible study. So I catch the bus to Bible study that night. Get out there, and I've been studying now. I'm ready to ask the pastor some questions. Got there, and he greeted us, opening. It was just another Sunday sermon. It wasn't no room for questions or nothing. So it's like, that's why the Christians don't know anything. That's why they're getting together, having these huddles, how to debate a Hebrew Israelite. You can't debate us because we're teaching prophecy. If you debate us, you're calling the Father a liar. So that was a great question, sis, but we really can't answer that with text because we don't know who they sold the land to. But that was a great question.
And then our first question was, yeah, we are not to sell the land.
Yeah.
It makes sense. It's like me, Nariah, I think all of us
Well,
talked about before.
Let's be specific. We can't sell the land outside our tribe. We can sell it inter-tribe because the Most High don't want any of the tribes to diminish. So long as you sell it to a Naphtali, what, you know, son of Nathalie or whoever your cousins is,
Right.
that's fine.
And it's because it goes back to when he set the order, like this is Judah, this
Right.
is Zebulun,
Right.
this is Naphtali. So, and that's what I was gonna say. Like he said, we're trust fund babies. We're just like I use the modern day, the Saudis, their
Right.
Saudi kingdom. You think their kids growing up, they're given everything. They're not going up and having to work. So it's just like us. It's like the Most High already said, this is your land. Here, 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 and here. Your water sources come from the Mediterranean, the reeds, the Jordan, all that stuff is taken care of already by the Most High. So it's like it wouldn't even be no need for us to be selling, you know what I mean, to outsiders and stuff like that. So yeah, so it does show how they're like in complete opposition to the way we're supposed to operate and stuff. By saying you can have the West Bank, you got Gaza, you got
like you're all out of order. All out of order.
They're bringing curses upon themselves.
The fact that you don't even care, like you don't even care that you're out of order. So that was a great question. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Anybody online, questions, comments, concerns before we wrap? Yeah, it's smelling good. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, I was again thinking what was just said. If our people are only taught, New Testament, then of course they don't know that there's supposed to be some kind of order. Because by the time Hamashiach comes on the scene, everything is out of order. There are no 12. Our kingdom is not. We don't have a king. We don't have a kingdom. We don't have. None of the tribes are together. None of the order that you see in the Torah is all diminished, and we're under somebody else's rulership in our own land. So, of course, no one's going to know how to answer certain questions because you only reading really taught only one half of the Bible, and you got that wrong. So just.
Go ahead, Nariah.
Well, if possible, real quick, I just wanted to, if somebody can read an actual passage from Matthew 26.
26. Demaria, you want to get that? Matthew 26, where you going, Al?
If somebody can just read 52 through 56, and just to give everybody context, this is the night where Yahushua was about to be betrayed, and he asked a couple of the disciples to come and watch or pray with him because he was sorrowful and heavy. Essentially, King Yahushua himself was worried. He was probably scared. He didn't want to die. He didn't want to die for us. So I saw this yesterday when I was reading it with the Akyam, and I just wanted to point it out to everybody here. So 52 through 56, if anybody can read it.
Well, before you go there, let me jump in here because those of you who follow me on Facebook, I've been trying to help the family. There's even some Israelites who are teaching like oneness, and like oneness is a derivative of Trinity. Like I guess the oneness is a new flavor, and I'm not seminary trained, and I'm thinking most high I'm not. So I would have to hear from them. My understanding of what they say is oneness. They know the Father and the Son are two different people, but they're cohabiting as one unit, as one person. It's very convoluted, and so the oneness people, they refute the Trinity. They reject the Trinity too, but they just say that the Father and the Son is one. So I've been posting to try to help people to realize that the Father and the Son, they're not one. The Father is the great I am, and his Son is the Son. And before you read these verses, Let's go to verse 36, Matthew 26 and 36. And can you read that verse for us, Amaria?
Yes, sir. 36.
Come.
Right. Then cometh Yahushua with them unto a place called the Seminary, and saith unto the disciples, sit ye here while I go and pray yonder.
Messiah tells the disciples, sit here while I go pray yonder. So if Yahushua, if the Son is one with his Father, who is he praying to? He's praying to himself. These are the questions we have to ask when we hear these different doctrines. And any doctrine, any declaration should be able to withstand questions. If the Son is one with his Father, who is he praying to? Because the oneness doctrine makes it seem like he's going to pray to himself. Because now I got to ask you, who does the Most High pray to? Or find me a precept where you find the Most High praying. Because I've never read any precept that the Most High prays. He calls to be the end from the beginning. So we got multiple precepts that the Son prays to the Father. We don't never read where the Father prays back to the Son. So any favor of oneness or Trinity that people are pushing is false doctrine. It doesn't agree with the culture or any of the scrolls. And with that, I yield